And Archangel Gabriel said, we're speeding up the process of some of the things that you need to encounter here. When you are 5D, you are part of the elements, you are part of the breathing force of the planet and the universe. So you have a stronger vibration that infiltrates the waves of energy that surround us, okay? This is the whole reason for it, is that they had to quickly get us up to a higher level of consciousness, and this is the nuts and bolts of it, and I'm going to say it now, and it's not the end of the world, it's not Armageddon, but this is the basic of what they told me. And I haven't told it before because people panic so much, but please don't panic, because this is not going to happen now, but at the time it was
Nicky Alan, welcome back.
Emilio Ortiz, my wonderful, gorgeous, handsome, beautiful old soul. You had so many compliments when people watched this before on what you're just beautiful in and out. And your soul is 1,000 million years old, gazillion years old. You have so much knowledge, and it's so refreshing and beautiful to see that in such a younger vessel. You know, because a lot of people kind of find their path and then they kind of dilly off of it, come back onto it, and various things happen. But you are so dedicated and connected to the higher source, and it's just beautiful to see. I have to say that. That's exactly what was just said to me just before, is that they honour the fact that you have taken hold of your journey and just gone with it without any question. And that's a beautiful thing to do. And hopefully there'll be more younger vessels throughout the world that do the same. Sorry, I just had to say that. Hello.
I have full body chills right now, full body chills. And really what you just echoed really goes straight to my heart. And it was beautiful to see the response that we got on our first conversation. How much people flood you with love, and I believe it comes stemming from the authenticity that you radiate, your humor, your play, your no BS approach to this whole spiritual landscape. So I'm really excited to learn about what you're excited about right now in your life.
Well, in my spiritual life or my personal life?
All of it. They're all the same. You know, they're all intertwined.
You're absolutely right. They're totally intertwined, because at the moment, I've never been so closer to the angel realms ever. I don't know if you've noticed. Obviously, we spoke of weather disasters last time we were chatting, and so Archangel Uriel. I never thought I'd be saying this in a million years. Okay, never, because when you think as a human, and you have to reach past this limit that your ego creates, that I never thought for a million years I'd be able to connect with an angel realm and then say I'm actually in the frequency of Archangel Uriel, you know. And it just seems so gigantic and so mind-blowing, because spirit people, you kind of feel, yeah, that's okay, I've got your granddad Joe and he's saying this and he's saying that, you know. But when it's something higher and so much more huger than anything, then, you know, beyond the spirit world, it's just like, wow, is this really happening? So she obviously feels this, and so do the other angels, because they always tell me of something that's going to happen. So the most recent one was, I was woken up in the morning at, coincidentally, must be 3 o'clock, and she said, oh, there's trouble in Arkansas, we will be there. We will be there. Tell them we will be there with the seraphim to try and bring as much safety as possible. And then 2 days later, this huge, horrific tornado broke out in Arkansas. And I think what she's doing is it's really exciting, because she's doing the channeling. People might think, oh, is Nicky actually connecting with that frequency? And then they chuck in a little prophecy or a little prediction of what's happening in the world to verify and validate their communication, which I think is absolutely mind-blowing. And at the moment as well, I'm working with my wonderful publisher in getting my new angel cards out. So that makes me even closer to them, because these cards are their word. They're not They're not, oh, this is forgiveness card off your pop. It's them saying, I do this for you, call on me and use this crystal to connect with me. So I've just turned into this big angel channeler, and it's just something incredible. And that personally, as well as, you know, I hate saying professionally because I don't see this as a profession. This is my vocation. This is my passion. This is my absolute need, love, and drive to do. No matter what happens, I have to be here to bring the messages through. But they're there all the time. Even in, you know, driving somewhere, they'll say, slow down, because perhaps there's going to be some sort of possible car crash or something, or turn left now. And that's exactly what we did. We were in Spain. You know, we had, as you know, we had 3 months in Spain, and it was just turn left now. And then we found the most magnificent church, or the most magnificent chapel, or a castle that then had a chapel within that I could go in and then communicate. And then they inspired me to bring, inspired me to bring prayers to humankind. And it was just, so I'm in a very exciting phase at the moment. However, excuse me, I just have to have a sip of my water. However, sorry. You're editing this, right?
We can.
Sorry.
But I like your coughs. It's like nice background.
Oh,
it's like a nice background.
Thank you. I just got a tickle in my throat, mostly because they're hitting my throat chakra. So that happens a lot as well now, where I think, what's going on? And then I can feel it vibrating. So they obviously want me to say whatever they need me to hear. Do you know what I mean? But we'd find the most magnificent places, as I said, bring these prayers to mankind, if you like, humankind, whoever's willing to listen on the channel, or, you know, when I'm with beautiful people like you. And there's just a feeling of peace and sense of everything that's going on. And that's why I feel they're infusing me with these words. They keep saying, press the button. It's so funny. They show a human finger hitting like an electric bolt, and they mean press record. And they say, we shall speak. And it's like, okay. I had one the other day. It was Archangel Uriel, right? Uriel just said, speak. And I was laying doing a meditation in my nightgown, in my nightie, right, on my bed in Spain. And I thought, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I haven't brushed my hair. I'm in my nightwear. And he said, press the button, or they say press, and then I know what they mean. I'm like, oh my goodness. So then he channeled through me while I'm laying on the bed when it was just supposed to be a private meditation. But, you know, it's wonderful because they know when my energy's right. They know when they can do it. And so it's not like I'm being invaded. And I feel like they're repeatedly doing this because of the amount of ill balance on the planet. So, for instance, these solar flares that have just recently been taking place with the Northern Lights. And, you know, I
was going to ask you that 100%.
The thing is that I don't want to be a party pooper. And I want to believe that it's a wonderful, natural event that's taken place that brings us some, you know, beautiful feeling of, wow, isn't the planet magnificent? And I really wanted to believe that. Firstly, when I sent the question up, I didn't really get a massive, yes, it's us creating this, and, you know, it's a beautiful planetary thing. And I'm like, oh dear. Then I was sent a message about electrons being sent up by the HAART. I don't even know who they are because I don't want to read into it because I like my information to be organic. But I don't know if you're aware of that there was a scientific experiment that was actually put out in November last year, that they were going to be sending electrons up into space to find debris and various things up in, and that was supposed to be going between the 8th and 10th of May. And I'm like, no, please don't let this be it. And so I thought, I'm going to go up and find out what's going on. And it was, again, you know, I can't lie. I can't say, don't worry, it's all lovely and wonderful, because what I saw was, did you ever see The Truman Show with Jim Carrey?
Yes, of course, Jim Carrey.
When he was in like a big dome that was created as a reality. And I saw that. And I'm not starting to talk about like matrix stuff that people do and like we're in a dome and we're in a, a fake kind of situation. But it did feel to me it was more about a man-made phenomena than something beautiful and wonderful happening with the planet. I could be wrong, but I haven't been so far with anything, and I don't get I have not had any response from any of the archangels to say that this was created as a beautiful phenomena for us. So I'm still on the fence with it. I desperately want it to be a beautiful phenomenon, but there's a part of me that feels, what about you? I just feel something, it just didn't feel right for me. I didn't personally see any of it. Where I was here in Devon, I didn't see anything at all. And I stayed around my sister-in-law's house because she's got really good 360 views that go across the moors. And I thought, I'm just going to sit nothing. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't see anything. But obviously there were millions of people posting beautiful photos. I don't know. I'm on the fence. Spiritually, it feels like it wasn't natural phenomena. I really wish it is. So perhaps my ego is trying to sway what's going on here. I've never felt so split between something because I really want it to be something beautiful, because let's face it, at the moment we'll be faced with so much calamity and chaos that I really wanted it to be a blessing for us. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, my optimistic side is saying like, oh, now at least we don't have to go all the way to Iceland to see the aurora borealis, so we can just like chill at home and see this beautiful sky. But at the same time, yeah, I did feel like, it was like a galactic thing that was going on, and it resonates a lot what you're talking about with the man-made experiments. We recently had a good friend of mine, Matias de Stefano, on the podcast, and he was telling us how in the 1960s they started these experiments with particle colliders, and they were trying to find, the invisible particle that holds all of space and time together. And he said that what happened there is that we made a break in the space-time continuum, and now it's our responsibility to repair space and time. So, a lot of sketchy territory can happen when we're trying to find these universal secrets or mysteries, but we're using our technology in a way that's not aligned with the natural order of the cosmos. And that actually happened as well in Atlantis. And I know you've traveled back to your past lifetimes in Atlantis. Did you witness something similar to where they were using or utilizing technology in a way that wasn't aligned with the harmony of nature?
But it wasn't the Atlanteans that were doing that. I have had many dreams which have been reawoken since last year, where I was fighting in the colonies, and it came from galactic elements that are the more negative ones. So people talk of the Dracos. I'm not fully licensed on that at the moment because, again, I wait for them to tell me. And then don't worry about that. You need to talk about your origins and how we're helping. When we want to bring in the negative elements of the universe, we will, but that's not your job at the moment. I'm like, okay, but I'd like to know the titles of the baddies. But they were actually implementing various technology to try and infiltrate and to try and break up the frequency of the element of Atlantis. I remember that happening. I remember things happening that were totally diminishing colonies during the time that it was actually here present under the water energy. And I do recall that happening, and I still feel that that's still happening now. And I wonder if the light anomalies to do with some galactic episode also that's taking place, because I feel like we've always had our friends galactically in the cosmos always assisting us, always dropping in technology, which they do. And I know the Atlanteans do that, the Andromedans do, where they'll drop in something that will assist us to go further forward. However, they have to choose who to drop it with. So, there's some times when I suppose the omnipresence or the source of the universe allows some sort of energy to infiltrate into our consciousness, into our awareness, to help us to develop, because we are a very basic planet compared to all the others. And so it's agreed on some big cosmos level, universal level. It's agreed, yes, you'll implement this and allow this consciousness to reach someone, but it's picking the right people to take the technology forward without it being interfered with ego structures. So this is the point of why people like you are being born to the planet now, so that we're creating a greater generation of people to receive what they bring us for the greater good. So at the moment, this big reset that everybody talks about, this big, it's coming to an end, and it isn't coming to an end. People talking about moving from 3D to 5D, that's been going on for a very long time. And all it is, it's in basic terms, is what I do, as everybody says, I keep it real. In basic terms, they are raising our sensitive levels. They're raising our consciousness. They are raising our awareness of other entities that are out there, celestial beings, galactic beings, so that we can start acknowledging a greater knowledge of the universe and how we can look after this planet. And that then is infused through our younger generation, hopefully through the people like you. If you have children, hope you have 600, because then, you've got a good amount covered there. So
I'll do a Genghis Khan and have like 10,000 children, scatter them all around the world, and that's my mission. I'll just stop the podcast and do that.
just procreate and create these beautiful beings, and that's what they're intending to do. Hence why they're creating crystal children, indigo children that are awake as soon as they are born to the planet, and they are not susceptible to ego, society, peerage, parenting of people that are not awake. They are totally awake and thinking, what can I do for the planet? And they're there straight from the beginning. They won't allow anything to tell them that they're not who they are. And that's what's slowly being implemented now. And when they become leaders, when they become politicians, when they become people that are dealing with world health and goodness knows what, we'll have these people that are awake and implementing it. The scientists, the people that will suddenly have this awakening or this acknowledgement, I need to use this. Look at the technology of the frill crystal that's being implemented from the Andromedans, I think it is. But they're saying this crystal will do this will ignite the med beds, which will bring you healing. And I've seen the med beds, I've seen the cell pods, I've seen so much technology and states of being in Atlantis. I go there all the time. I'm loving it. I literally go there every day. The problem is I do my meditation, and the thing is it's 432 hertz. I got my beautiful musician Neil H. If anybody wants to hear the most sublime music, Neil H. official on YouTube. He can't read music. He doesn't know how to use instruments. Okay, so he literally just listens to his energy, listens to the pulse of the planet, and then just creates music. He's not even a trained musician.
We'll link that below for people.
Seriously, he is absolutely, and when you speak to him, he's not really on a human-based chakra energy. He's just with the planet. And so luckily, thank you, angels, he was brought to my attention, and he only lives like 10, 15 minutes away up on the moors. He lives on the moors with the earth, with nature. And at Dartmoor, if you're ever interested, look at Dartmoor. And he said, I said, I need this beautiful repair, calm, healing at one frequency. What one is it? And he said, I think 432. So I put it on. I have it on in the background because I've got the silent version and a guided meditation version to Atlantis. And half the time, I just am in the most sublime, restful state that I don't listen to the words. I'm out of it within about 5 minutes. And then other times, they actually do keep me consciously aware and take me to various places. And the next one, see, listen to this. This is just incredible. In Atlantis, they have got these healing pools. See, I keep saying to them, I don't understand. Why can't you just bring it to us now? And they said, because it will be wrongly used. When we inspire someone that this will work, big farmers will take it. Big pharmaceutical companies will take it and then put their poison in it. We're trying to show you that the planet has got everything covered for your ailments. And so this was the most magnificent. They've got this available there now, and they must get so frustrated because they're full of this most beautiful benevolence and they want to help us. But for some reason, we love this raw planet. So this healing pool I was taken to, and they've said to me, press the button. So they meant record my experience. So this is my next meditation coming out, right? So I was walking along. First of all, I went past these waterfalls and there was these giant beings. It was all wonderful. I've seen them before. And then I found myself in a forest area and there were all these most beautiful plants. Some I recognised as common plants that you see grow wild here and in your country and in America, all over the place. And then there were some very exotic plants that I've recognised from the Caribbean. And there was all sorts, and there was ones I've never seen before at all. And they all of their roots were dropped into this stream, this very small river. So I followed the river and there was this like mini waterfall and it was just glinting with all different kind of colours, very much like how I see the pool of life or the pool of youth up in the celestial gardens in the angel realms. And so it was raised, so it's rock formation, but you could walk straight up to it. And they said, just go into the pool. And this reminded me of the cherubim chamber, which I'm sure I spoke of with you last time. Did I not, about the cherubim chamber? It's very much like that.
Yeah, we did talk about it last time.
And so I said, I'm not thinking of the cherubim chamber. They said, no, this is what we have here available on the planet, just to show us what is out there, on our planet. And so they said it's merely just fauna, plants and flowers that we create elixirs for your body. So they said lay back. So I laid back in this pool and there was these tiny little sentient beings, very much like the ones in the cherubim, but they were like silver fish. They were just like bright silver and sparkly. And they just went in and out of my soul. And then they all flourished together and then they just flew down the waterfall. And then in my third eye, I could see them going to various plants, and the elixir or the plant benefit of the plant that was in the water, they gathered some of the energy of it. And so they made this particular elixir from all this different fauna and flowers and then brought it back up to me and put it into my soul. And I have to say, for about a week afterwards, because, I don't know if, some of your listeners might not know that I have chronic fatigue. And I felt incredible. For a week after, I felt normal, and I haven't felt normal energy for many, many years. And I keep trying to go back. So I thought, right, great. I'm glad they said press the button, because I want to create that for people to go into and get these elixirs created on their soul energy. So I said to them, when I came out of the pool feeling absolutely beautiful and I could feel myself glowing, and I said, are you going to tell me what you've given me? Sometimes they tell me, for instance, once they said, we've given you yarrow root. And so I actually bought it, and now I have yarrow root when, I haven't had it for a while. But just to let people know, with my condition, I do have sometimes quite a compromised immune system. So if I get a cold, I end up with chest infections and all problems like that. It gets really serious. And I could feel it coming on, and luckily the yarrow root had arrived that day. I didn't even know what it did. I just thought, I'm buying it, I'm having it. They told me to get it. And within a day, everything just disappeared. I was just a bit sniffly. That never, ever happens. And when I actually decided to Google it, because I don't like Googling anything, it eradicates infection and it stops germs and bacteria. It is just a wonderful cleansing root, if you like, and the yarrow tea is as well, and it just is an anti-inflammatory. Everything I could possibly want was in that. So that, they again, I feel like when I go to these different planes of existence, they know that I like to deliver it to the human beings. Oh my goodness, I sound like one of them now. Delivering it to our loved ones down here, to humanity, and then they just throw something in to prove that this is what we're talking about. So they said yarrow root, and then when I actually did Google it and found out the properties of yarrow and yarrow root, I was like, it's exactly what I need. It's incredible. And they just do put those little things in, you know, to say to people, we know what we're talking about. So I can't wait for people to go into this pool to see what happens. But, you know, when you look into the bigger picture of it, they're still trying to tell us everything we have is on the planet. And so if we now jump back to you procreating and creating loads of babies, I need to
starting tomorrow.
Get out of my head, right? But you know, us creating these beautiful awake elements, you know, just like in my book that's coming out, Earthwalkers, like these beautiful crystal children that are awake, and they're going to be our new leaders and our new doctors and our new scientists. How exciting is that? And we're on the periphery of it. And you, as I say, you are complete evidence of that. You know, you could be still, you know, going around doing what you're doing, bumming around, whatever, but you're not. You're so dedicated because you've listened to your calling, and it was so loud, and you knew that you had to be doing what you're doing now. And you've got no idea how far you're going to go with this. You're so young. You've got your whole life ahead of you. I'm honoured, but sometimes I think, why didn't you just wake me up to this extent, to this depth when I was 20? But then I don't think I would have been ready, because I'm not of your generation where you are running with it and you're doing it so cool. You know, when I look at people like you and other big influences on here that interview people like me, you are just all so cool, and you are bringing the younger generations to you, because if you were old like me sitting there, you know, and like in a little tweed jacket saying, oh, the universe, the people would be like, no, you're all right. But look at you, handsome, young, trendy, and you know, you're just going to get millions and millions of people come to you over the years, and you're just going to create a huge phenomena of knowledge and power, and acknowledging that we are all part of the universe, and the universe is within us. So, you know, at the moment, people come to me and go, wow, Nicky, you're so amazing. I'm like, no, we're all amazing. I've just chosen to have that channel open and trust every single thing that comes to me. Because believe me, when the angels started coming and saying, press the button, I'm like, oh, no. Because I'm not being rude about other people, you know, but I've seen people say, oh, Archangel Michael's with me. I'm like, no, he's not, love. I just know he's not. And people use those names very, very loosely. Oh, yes, I've got Archangel Michael with me, and he's saying, I'm like, oh. And so I was worried people would think that about me. Ego again. But then I just thought, hey, hang on a minute. You spent your whole life seeing angel, alien, and spirit phenomena since you were 4 years old. You've seen the doorway to heaven. Get over yourself, Nicky, and start telling people what they want you to tell them. And that's what I've been doing. And I predicted this 9 years ago, you know, with these portal mediums. And I just thought it was a matter of fiction. It's not. And I can't remember if we touched on this or not last time, darling, but the portal mediums are the ones that are opening up to a higher level of existence, higher level of communication. So I'm not denoting or saying that mediums that just work with the spirit world are lesser than us. Absolutely not, because that is their vocation, their job now, to connect with the spirit world and assist people in their grief, assist them in understanding the afterlife, which I still do. But suddenly this bigger vortex has opened, as my dad told me and predicted from the spirit world back in 2014, that I'll be open to the universal energy, and that I've got to accept it, and I'll be working on this most profound level, and it's happening. And I have to pinch myself sometimes, and sometimes during the channelings that I do, I'm crying my eyes out. I can't help it, because the amount of love and the amount of empathy and compassion and beauty to be in the presence of that frequency is just, you can't describe it, the beauty of it. And especially if they take you up to the celestial gardens, or take you to their I call them chambers, because we need a mind map. But when you're sitting in their presence at the core of their, you know, being, it is just, I can't describe it. And so for me to try and get people to do the same, we can all do it. We can all, with dedication, and it doesn't take a huge amount of practice, because we're all part of the universe, to just go into meditation, to start listening to guided meditations, to just start communicating, even if it's verbally. hey, look, I don't really believe all this stuff, but I really want some sort of proof. And I know I'm saying it's really bad proof because that's what people say, I want proof, right? Which to me is an insult. But hey, I'm just talking about the layman. Can I kind of connect with you? Can you connect with me? And then suddenly, boom, you'll see a feather drop on your face or something will start happening and the magic begins. And it really breaks my heart when people come to me and they're so bereft and they're so down and they're so destitute and they've had so much trauma and horror, happen to them. And I just think it's so easy. Just open your heart and your mind and open your energy to all of this help and assistance that can be brought to you from the spirit world, from your guides, from the celestial realms, from the galactic realms, if you're starseed origin. And it's just plugging back in. It's so simple, but for some reason, we're still fighting to get this through to people. And so these portal mediums, these mediums like me that have been upgraded, if you like, if that's the right word, all over the planet, and you as the enabler as well, bringing us to the masses to say, this is what you need to do. This is how you will improve your human experience this time. This is how you connect back in. This is how you go from 3D to 5D. So 3D is being very much aware of the planet's energy on a kind of basic level. Your intuition is there. You potentially, if you're going to use it to the most fluid terms, then you're going to be perhaps a medium, healer, light worker, whatever that way is. But 3D is very much like having to be enlightened in a heavy, dense energy of the world that we see it on a base chakra level. The 5D, I remember it was 2006. I remember going into meditation and I was doing a healing. I can't remember who it was. I was healing somebody, and suddenly this bright pink light came into my being, and I'm like, whoa, hang on a minute, I normally do like Raphael and a green energy, and I thought, what's this pink energy going on? I just obsessed with pink, as you saw last time. I just pink and so
I was actually gonna wear pink today, but I don't know what happened. I was just like,
Joe, if I was young and trendy, my hair would be so pink. It's got to go pink at some point. I'm just waiting for it. And so I'm like, sorry, what energy am I in? And then I'd never heard of it before. And everybody's, the learned people are going to go, how could you have not heard of her before? Kuan Yin. So I'm like, okay, Kuan Yin. I please forgive me, but I go from source. I've never researched anything. I don't know who you are. She goes, just be with me and I will help you extend your energy to the 5D. And that's the first time I ever heard the phrase. That was 2006. And I'm like, okay. So she stayed with me for about 6 months. Every time I did an evening of mediumship, or I did like a healing session, or I just went into meditation, boom, everything was bright pink. This is a revelation for me now, because obviously I work with lots of angel energy, and obviously, Chamuel's on a pink ray. Wow, I wonder if that's why I wear pink all the time. Anyway, she was with me for about 6 months, and I said to her, what do you mean 5D? And so she said, I said, what about 4D? What happened to 4D? And so she said,
yeah, we just skipped it all of a sudden.
Exactly. So I said to her, well, what's the jump all about? Do you know what I mean? And it was explained to me that the way the process of the earth had traversed to massive levels of ego, the big pharmaceutical companies, the rich elite and all the rest of it, the way that ego had pushed everything to such a crisis level, they had to just jump. They were going to literally implement very slow levels of acknowledgement, awareness, advancement, very slowly as the planet grew. But again, I said to you, from the 1940s, from the genocide man, I don't even want to mention his name. He basically created this implement of, God, we need to kind of get them a bit higher. And this was the whole reason for it. This is the whole reason for it, is that they had to quickly get us up to a higher level of consciousness. And this is the nuts and bolts of it. And I'm going to say it now. And it's not the end of the world. It's not Armageddon. But this is the basic of what they told me. And I haven't told it before because people panic so much. But please don't panic, because This is not going to happen now. But at the time, it was, what we need to do is we need to get people to such a level of consciousness that if something happens to the planet, we can plonk their soul on another planet and they will fit right in because they're on the same resonance on the 5D as other planetary matters. So telekinesis, working with the energy of soul connection, namaste, honoring each other's soul. So that's how they work. That's how they communicate, most of them. And so this is why when you get galactic channelers, like, you know, my friend Elena Danan, it's more about them implementing through mindfulness, telekinesis, connecting with our souls, rather than them manifesting themselves to most people, because most people would freak. So they're very gently using channels, and some people don't like that word, but it's the only word I can think of that's, you know, quite useful for this, to bring this information through. So she's in a 5D level because she can handle that. I could handle it because I've spent my whole life telekinetically, soul level, any way you want to describe it, connecting with higher beings. So if suddenly the world went boom, excuse me, if the world suddenly went boom, my soul could easily be incarnated onto another planet with absolutely no problem at all, because my conscious level is that high that I'd resonate straight away. And it wouldn't freak me out if I suddenly ended up on another planet and I'm connecting through telekinesis. You know, but for other people that scares the pants off them. No, I want to be human. I don't want to lose my dog or my brother or my sister or my mum. Okay, you won't. But it was going to go boom. The planet was going to go boom. It was going to be someone.
What was the biggest threat for that?
The biggest threat?
What was the biggest threat to, yeah.
What, to the planet? One was the fact that they were worried that we were going to kill the planet through our poisons and how we're abusing the planet and ripping down all the forests, all the rest of it. So, and that's still going. We're still in a very slow time bomb for the abuse of the planet and the animals that are on it. And I'll tell you about that in a minute, what I saw when I asked them about that, because I wanted to be ready to speak with you. And I just like, are you going to tell me at the time, or shall I just go up and find out? So I'll say about that in a minute. However, oh yes, okay, I've got to mention that. Thank you. That's Gabriel. I've got a massive golden light around me, so I know that Gabriel's with me, the messenger angel. I will say about that in a moment. Hang on a moment. Don't cry. Oh, they always get me. My ear is doing this. Me. So, sorry, just get really emotional when they come close. So
no, take your
there
time.
They highlighted back then in 2006. Can you just, thank you. They highlighted back in 2006 that they highlighted China, Korea and Russia, which are, I suppose, the most predictive people that are going to get involved with this sort of thing. I don't really know. I don't follow the news. I can't stand any of it. However, there was going to be an implement of World War III, and the threats were heightened so much that there was going to be a boom. And I feel that most probably, I don't know if it was like in the next couple of years, 2012, 2013, but there was a massive political thing that took place. And I don't even know, because I've never researched it, if it was even a thing back then. I don't know if it was in the background and it was all kept from us. But eventually it all simmered down, but there was a massive threat to the planet. And that's exclusive. I've never said it before because I don't want people to go, oh my God, are we all going to die? No, you're not. So the implement of jumping 3 to 5 was because there was potential of that. And it was only because of certain happenings and certain infiltration of beings that were around this situation. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes I feel that, you know, we've got free will. I sometimes feel that some souls can be infiltrated if it's for the sake of the planet. And I just feel that, you know, perhaps, I don't know if it was Galactic, Angelic, I don't know, but they just sat in a soul of someone or created, don't do this, we can't do this. Something happened, I don't know what, and I still don't know what. And I feel sometimes that, you know, I keep asking these questions, and then if they say, just leave it at that, perhaps I'm not supposed to know everything. You know, perhaps that's part of the whole reason of coming down here. I can't be the guru of everything. I'm not a guru at all. But what I'm trying to say is that some people say, what about this? I say, I don't know. They haven't told me. I go up and I ask, and if they say you don't need to know that now, I accept that. And so that's why there was the jump from 3 to 5. And then as soon as it was about 5 or 6 months later, she then just like receded back. And then I ended up going to Thailand, and I saw her in a temple, and I recognized it immediately. And I said to the guide, "Who's that?" And he went, "Kuan Yin." I was like, "Oh my goodness, I've seen her." And so she created what she knew I was going to see in a temple as her imagery. I was so excited. So I was like looking through the shops trying to find the best, statue of Kuan Yin. And she just sat with me for a long time. And I feel that perhaps once I had this upgrade, she then disappeared. And then interestingly, because I've looked into this, 3 years later, after the impending doom that was supposed to take place, I have my road accident, have a massive rebirth over that 5-year period, and I awakened. So I feel that was my time to get up to that 5D and beyond, I feel.
That was the upgrade.
That was the upgrade. And then the ultimate upgrade was last year in Florida at the GSIC conference, where I sat in front of an Atlantean Andromedan channeler and just went, oh my goodness, hello, I recognize you. And then everything went boom that night. All my dreams came back and all my memories of being in Atlantis. And I just thought it's because if I could live under the sea, I would. And I just thought it was me just wishing I was a mermaid, or wishing I was, living in Atlantis. I thought it was all just wishful dreaming. But now, obviously, with the culmination of this wonderful musician, Neil, bringing in his energy, and me connecting with the Atlanteans, they're saying, create this. I'm like, I'm doing it. But it's ancient. They're not taking me to galactic levels. They're still keeping me in a plane of existence that would have been them when they were in the waterways, which is incredible. And I don't even ask. I do know that they're bringing in and showing me technology, like the soul pods. I think I mentioned these before to you, where you can go in, you lay on this plinth, and it recognizes your DNA and it recognizes your soul, and then it shows you all your previous lives and where you are and where you're at. And it's just almost like a Jeremiah chamber, Archangel Jeremiah, the Archangel of reviewing. And so I know that they're implementing that, and it will be more solidly implemented with this next beautiful generation that's coming up. So I have no worries that we are going to be imploding into the doom of World War III. However, as I said before, because we are now, we're like digging up the roots of the vile essence of the planet. So this means there will be wars, there will be exposure of certain things, potentially, with these solar systems that are happening at the moment, with this phenomena. It might be that later on someone says, well, there's a wake-up call. That was our Atlantean friends doing that. Perhaps all of these happenings are to awaken us. And the other thing that I was told by Gabriel, and he's just reminded me, I say it's not like I'm connecting with Fred, who used to live down the road and passed over, because I can call him he, but calling Gabriel he feels like an insult. But it's the only way for me to address him. It's just this huge presence. So I just say he to keep it real, basically.
It's omnipresence.
Yeah, the omnipresence. And the other thing he said is, when you know you're in 5D is, and this is what people need to know. They say, how do I get into 5D? It is so simple. Reconnect, meditate, walk in nature. Just acknowledge these higher powers, these higher beings, and acknowledge them as you being part of it, and that you don't have to be someone special to connect with them. It's really simple. Meditation, mind focus, and opening your energy up to the ethers, the ethereal layers of sentience and acknowledgement, and learned places such as the halls of learning. Meditate, go in there. I've got all the meditations for people. Go to the halls of learning, go and see the Akashic Records. You can all do it if you raise that vibration. And you're in 5D because I have never been so sensitive to the planet in all my life. I keep thinking of the animals on the planet and the abuse of them, and it just makes me feel like someone's just taken my dog and done something really bad. You become very sensitive to it, but it's not a horrific situation because you just, move yourself out of thinking of the base chakra stuff that's happening. You can also feel the pulse of the planet. So sometimes if I feel a bit spacey, then I look at the resonance, the Schumann resonance, to see what that's vibrating at. I'm like, wow, that's because that's just spiked a bit. And you tend to feel, this is going to sound really weird, feel nature, feel the air, feel the energy within everything that grows. It's just really weird. And sometimes it looks quite more vibrant than it is, which is what the spirit world and the angel realms look like. They're more, it's just the most intense color and light you could possibly imagine when you're up there and being in that environment. And so I have that. And also what happens is as well is he said, and Archangel Gabriel said, we're speeding up the process of some of the things that you need to encounter here, so you're ready for and I'm like, oh God, if I got to come down again. And he said, if you wish, but we would like you to. I said, can I just stay up there and be a guide next time? And I feel I'm coming back down again. But he said that karma works swifter with 5D beings. So I said, well, what?
Swifter.
So I said, what do you mean by this? He said, when you are 5D, you are part of the elements. You are part of the breathing force of the planet and the universe. So you have a stronger vibration that infiltrates the waves of energy that surround us. Okay. So if you put out something good, or I would like this, or I stand and I ask you for this because it's going to help humanity, it happens really quickly. Our
manifestation potential is accelerated.
Exactly. So if you do something that isn't so great, then that comes back to you as well. But also, people might have perhaps old friends that they need to forgive or connect with. You might have things that haven't been dealt with in your past, and you think, God, I never did deal with that. And then suddenly you're confronted with it. So there's a bit of a speed up on the review of your life system. I don't know why. I've tried to ask why, and it's almost like, well, it eradicates a lot of the life reviews up here. We're showing you the reality of your energy being implemented into the universe, so it wakes you up to your own behavior. So what's happening there is that you're more mindful of what you put out. You're more mindful of your behavior, your acts towards people. You're more mindful because you'll see it come back. So, for instance, I don't know, I don't think I've done anything bad at all for a long time, but just say if you're walking along and you pick a branch off of pick a branch or a flower off of a plant and then you just throw it on the floor, then if you bought a plant or you had a plant here, it will break or it would die. I can't think of a great analogy at the moment, but they're trying to show that the repercussions of us in a 5D environment comes back to us 100-fold, more so than just normal, sentient beings. I don't know how to call them. That sounds awful. And I'm not higher or more acknowledged than anybody else. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is they're making us more mindful of our actions. And this is, this was incorporated about 6 months ago to me, when they said that you don't realise how strong your intent and your energy is. So if you send love, and we mentioned this, didn't we, last time? If you send love to perhaps Africa, where there's problems of children starving, the love will get there. It's not an imagination. You are energy, and you can progress that energy. And what's happening there?
And the seraphim are there as well.
Absolutely. The seraphim are in that energy as well. And I feel the seraphim. And so this is mostly why I know where the next disaster is going to be. But I asked them today, and they just said, leave it. We don't want you to be the person that is the prognosis of disaster. We will just tell you when we need to. I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine. And I don't want to be the doom person. Oh, let's see where the next disaster is. Let's go to Nicky Alan's channel. I don't want to be that person. I think they just...
the bearer of disasters.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, can you just give me some good stuff? But they are so excited because every time something's dug up and exposed, it's another step towards this wonderful equilibrium of bringing in this lovely new awake generation and being in this 5D consciousness. Because the more we feel the ramifications of what we give out, the more we become more calm, the more we think, actually, do I really want to do that? Because I feel it's going to come back on me, you know? And so even in my own personal life, people from my past have come back, and it's like, well, what are you going to do with this? Are they respectful of your soul? Do they deserve to come back in? Do you deserve to be in their energy? And you start really starting to examine within as opposed to your ego. They did this. No, that's it. You know, and I just feel like I'm becoming part of that element. I just doing a me again. So they're making us more aware of our soul. They're making us more aware of what we say, what we do. So that again, as we implement this with younger generations, we're going to get this consciousness of benevolence. And hopefully, as the generations come and the more awake they are, and they're implemented with this 5D beauty, that's how this planet will restore its balance. And so there's no magical fix on this. Obviously, they talk about, to me, 2026 and then 2032. And these are most probably spike landmarks that will make us go, oh, but it'll be, oh, now I see why that happened. And again, because we are then sending this karmic energy out, then the karmic energy will reverberate with the negative, with the dark. And so people will see what they're creating. People will see, whoa, that's not right. We're going to need to deal with that, you know. And so it's all going to become so much more transparent, and it really will be so fluid. I don't know if you've ever done it, even if it's a little thought and I think, oh my goodness, I need to get my boiler checked and I need to just get some money for that. And then suddenly something will come in and it will cover that, you know. Or for instance, you know, I thought I'm finding it very difficult. Obviously, I don't want to keep going on about my condition. Most mediums have got this chronic fatigue, ME. And I'm like, everything is just so massive at the moment for me. There's so much going on, and having to come back and deal with my own grief, losing my little fur baby Teddy, and trying to get back into life. I've only been 2 weeks away from 3 months in Spain. And so I thought, and I just sent a thought out, and I thought, I need someone to help me implement my online presence. I need someone to do all my postings. I need to be clear for them. And the following day, I have the wonderful Louise from Canada say, I feel I need to help you. Can I help you with your online work? So, you know, that's how it works for the greater good. Beautiful. And so we can live such a rich and fluid life by acknowledging the 5D existence and acknowledging that what we give out, it's for the greater good, not silly things like I want to win the lottery, right? Just this is for the greater good. Please bring this to me because it will assist me in reaching humanity. And they'll go, ding, it's that easy. You know, darling, I keep saying it and I keep thinking to myself, wow, I'm sitting with a roof over my head. I'm sitting by the beach. I'm sitting in my beautiful office with my wonderful crystals and everything around me, speaking with you. And, you know, people got to realise that I was homeless. I had absolutely nothing but 2 dustbin bags and my 2 dogs in 2012. Absolutely nothing. I was in severe debt. I just literally, and I was really chronically ill, where I couldn't even string a sentence together and I couldn't walk and I was in a wheelchair, right? And this isn't a, whoa, look at me, I've got this far. It's them. I didn't do any of it. I'm not a hero. I didn't think, yes, I'm going to make myself well. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. They dragged me kicking and screaming. So my advice to anybody that's in crisis or is like totally I don't know what 3D is, 5D, I don't know what all going on. Literally just be in your own energy, walk in nature, listen to yourself, give yourself time for your soul to speak. Because again, this then goes back to the elixir pool in Atlantis. And I said, well, you know, how is this going to help my physical body if I'm having an elixir in a meditation? I don't get that. And they said, you don't understand. You are physically present. Your soul is physically, if that's the right word, present in a different frequency where we can feed your soul with our elixirs. And when your soul gets back into your physical body, it will illuminate that. And I did.
Because
go on.
It's the energy that creates matter, not the other way around. So
absolutely right.
When your soul is, you know, embedded with this energy from the elixir pool, then it comes back to the physicality. It will change and upgrade the biology within your whole cellular
Absolutely
system.
right. And on top of that, they then say, like, for instance, the yarrow root, I knew that was for my physical body to take in as a human. So I'm like, okay, I'll start drinking that. And so everything I get from them, obviously, I share with everybody that watches on the channel. So get it, and so many people have benefited from it, and so that's a wonderful thing. But this isn't it isn't a we're not okay and then we're going to be okay. It's a very slow developmental thing, but it has been sped up. They were mostly thinking, yeah, we'll implement 4D a bit later on, and then they're like, oh, hang on a minute. There's too much free will going on here. There's too much atrocities happening. The equilibrium isn't right. And do you know what I even saw as well when I was up the last time I was in meditation? I was just sitting with the angel realms. I was sitting by the ocean and I just was on a rock. There was nobody near me. It was a beautiful day. Just the other day, I just sat there and just said, what do you want to show me? And I was in the energy of Ariel, because obviously the waves and this beautiful sea. And they showed me, which is really interesting, they showed me that also the sentience of animals will be raised to the extent potentially where we will end up eating off the land again, that they won't be livestock. Because I repeatedly, I'm going to deal with it, I hate this subject, but I said, what about livestock? And they said they're different to us. Young souls have luxury and get what they want on a base chakra until they get older, and then they choose harder paths. Human souls. Animal souls is the other way round. So a younger soul will come down for that experience, and it feels like there's less awareness. They are aware of danger. They're aware of intuition, not intuition, but instinct. They're aware of that. And then unfortunately they are taken. And this is the thing, they said to me, and I don't know which, I say they, I hate it, because I always say to my students, don't say they, what's your source? But there was an element of all voices speaking to me while I was on the rock. I would assume it's Ariel, because she's the archangel, including looking after the animal kingdom, that said, as soon as we penned in and isolated animals as a lesser being, that's where the equilibrium went wrong. So I'm like, well, hang on a minute, have we all got to be vegetarian? She goes, you're not ready for that yet. The planet isn't ready for that yet. But there's an implement. And if you look, I don't know if you've noticed the amount of online, films and videos of animals doing the most incredible things, or them being rescued from livestock to being a pet. So I asked about that. So I said, right, so you're saying that younger souls come down, their soul is taken before the trauma, they go back to the collective energy, and then the more they come down, the more they'll experience things to a level where they want to then connect with a human love source. And so I said, yeah. So they said, so just for instance, you see animals that are taken from potential livestock to becoming a pet. Right, so you see them all the time, don't you, now online? People having pet cows and pet pigs and things like that. And so that pig or that cow has then acknowledged that sentient, loving connection with a human being, and that upgrades their soul essence, their knowledge, and that animal then becomes part of the soul cluster of that family. So then they come back potentially as a dog, or they come back as a cat next time. They can't cross souls. You can't have humans come back as dogs and dogs come back as humans. It feels to me so far that they're completely separate. But this just adds to it though. So I said, what about my babies? Because my dogs basically kept me alive. When we lost everything, I just have my 2 little babies, because obviously I see them a lot in the spirit world now. And I said, what about them? They said, they're splinters of your soul. Some of you have soulmates, which are human form, but you also have soulmates that are animal form. You have a soulmate which is animal form. They're part of your soul, or a twin flame, even if you want to use that word, the human title as they call it. And the only difference is they can reincarnate back into another dog, another cat in the same lifetime as you, because their energy is so advanced and so acknowledged and so old that they can come back and reincarnate into another pet in your life, which I've seen before in a couple of my animals. I can't see them anymore in the spirit world, but then I see them in the soul of the dog that I've got. And sometimes I've even called them their old name, and they kind of look up and it's like, oh no, I'm not that name anymore, I'm this name. So I know that they're there and they're part of our soul. So that's what happens. So I'm wondering what they mean is, and I've got no time scale for this, I'm just in the dark as everybody else with this. Well, I'm in the light, but you know what I mean? But it seems that the more we go along, I feel that the animals, and this is interesting because you know The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Do you know that story by Carroll? God, what's his blinking name? Lewis Carroll.
I don't.
Oh my goodness! You've
No.
got to. It was my absolute.
I'm gonna have to read
favorite.
it.
It basically is a book, and it's a series of books. They did make films of it, but it didn't go as well as, you know, the Harry Potters and Lord of the Rings, which is such a shame. But it's basically a story of these three children that are moved because of war. So they're refugees and they go into this house and there's a wardrobe. And they go into the wardrobe and they find themselves falling through. One of them finds himself falling through. I think it's Edmund. I can't remember. No, it's not. It's someone else. I can't remember now. I'm on the spot with it. And he falls through the wardrobe and enters into a completely different universe where the animals rule.
Oh, it's like Narnia.
Yeah, Narnia. That's it.
It's like Narnia.
That is it. Narnia. That's the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh.
Sorry, I should have said Narnia. And so it kind of looked. I don't mean that animals are going to go, "Hey, how you doing? Can I have some milk?" Right? It's not going to be that. But it just feels like potentially animals are going to be more revered and more acknowledged as being sentient and almost equal to us. So perhaps it ends up that we will not be eating them and they will be a level part of our acknowledgement. I've got a feeling that's the way it's going. I really do. And I feel like if I project myself to my future, on my next incarnation, it feels like it would be like, what? We're eating animals, but this is way ahead. This is way ahead. There will be other things.
Going to Atlantis again, Nikki.
Yeah.
Just a quick question around that, because you always hear how the Atlantean civilization had a very deep connection with, for example, the dolphin species at the time, and how, you know, the dolphins are highly evolved, very sentient creatures. Did you feel that connection with those animals when you start remembering your lives?
Absolutely.
In Atlantis as well?
This is so incredible you've just said this, because I did the meditation about 3 or 4 days ago. And again, you know, I was quite tired today, as I said to you earlier, but I had 4 days of feeling like a impala. I was just full of this vigorous energy because I went into one of the waterfalls that then opened up to an ocean, and there was a dolphin there. And I've also just done a channeling session where a dolphin, I just flashed in there because I don't remember the channelings after I've done them. And a dolphin appears with Archangel Uriel. I've just remembered that. I can't remember when that's going out, that one. And I keep seeing dolphins now. Obviously, you could not gauge my passion for the sea life, diving, the sea. You just couldn't gauge it. It's just beyond anything. And now I understand why. But yes, dolphins. And this is why, again, on a sentient level, when I see like whales beached or that, you know, dolphins getting caught in the nets and things like that, it's like, oh my goodness, no, because they are the past echo of Atlantis. There's no doubt about it. That's why they're so intelligent, and that's why they can communicate on these sound waves. They know how to communicate thousands of miles because that's intrinsic in them. And you know, the problem is you've got these scientists that want to know why and how, and you know, the scientific route. But again, this will be eradicated because when we get the new generations in, there'll be more, wow, I see you, I know you from Atlantis. And they're not going to most probably say that out loud. But at the moment, you know, going back to matter technology, the scientists know all about it. So they're trying to quantify it. They're trying to, you know, manipulate what is naturally coming down. This is why I wonder about the solar flare thing, right? They're trying to manipulate it. They're
or commercialize it.
Yeah, exactly. They're totally aware of the phenomenal power of crystals. They're totally aware that they can they're in our phones. They're in everything, aren't they? Quartz. And so at the end of the day, they are aware of that. So again, they're trying to implement ways to commercialize it. How can we make money from this? How can we progress our base chakra level selves? Because none of them are in the 5D element. So this is what's happening. Every baby being born now will be implementing this new wave of energy. Of course, there's going to be bad people. Of course there are, because you've got to have yin and yang. You have to have light and dark. However, the balance will be more, here is the light and here is the dark, and it's more about having people that are responsible for the running of this planet on a human level are the ones that are going to be more learned, have more benevolence, have more compassion, have more of a how's this going to help the planet? Because we're doing this little, plastics, people are having a little play at it, but they'll think, hang on a minute, this needs to be eradicated because it's hurting the sharks. Why are we eating the sharks? Why are we slaying them just for fin soup or whatever it's called? We need to start implementing this. And this is what's going to be happening. We're going to be bringing people in that actually feel the planet, feel the sea creatures, feel what's happening with people that are running puppy farms on a small level, feel the element and the importance of human slavery, human smuggling, all of these things that hurt our souls when we think of them. And particularly in 5D, it's like, whoa. And you do find yourself getting angry because you're feeling like, why is nobody doing anything about it? It's slowly implementing. I say we, I'm talking galactic, angelic, spiritual, ascending masters. They are all working towards, in the background, bringing peace to the planet and bringing that balance back. And as I said to you before, you can't, and I'm sure I use this analogy, but Julianus, my soul guide, tells me every time, if you've got a thorn here, it's going to hurt getting it out and it's going to bleed for a while, and this is what's going to happen. We are pulling the thorns out of society and we're looking at it thinking that isn't right. We are showing up people for what they are. Look at, and I don't want to get too much on the COVID jab, but look what's just happened. I don't know if you've seen that in the news, that they've now banned AstraZeneca because they've acknowledged it creates blood clots, death and thrombosis. And so all the time, when we were back saying to everybody, don't take this because it's dangerous. Oh no, we're the sheep. We trust the government. We trust the doctors who are getting bonuses for how many injections they're putting into people. And now it's banned. And then we've got Pfizer, who have just had another lawsuit of 10,000 people who've got cancer from just an antacid, just like for digestive issues, Zantac. So what does that mean for the jab? And so all these people that put us in the tree hugger conspiracy theorists have started saying, actually, they could be right here, And so people need to jump over to Rumble. I have to be very careful how much I talk about this because otherwise I'll be dumped down like my learned, beautiful, wonderful friend, Dr. Christiane Northrup. And, if you want to know the truth of what's going on, it's not conspiracy theorists that are sitting there thinking these things up. These people have got documents. They're learned people that have actually seen it and lived it and know what's going on. Pop over to Rumble as well as these wonderful channels, because as soon as we start hitting too much of a truth, that's when these shadow bans and various things come in. And so that's fine, because again, the people that will be responsible for media, they will be the 5D, they will be the Indigo children growing up and feeling a need to work on media. And they will they will be driven by by the essence of Archangel Gabriel as a messenger to bring the truth to the people. Obviously certain things will be held back, for the safety and for the calmness of humanity, so they don't panic, because they tend to, don't they? And I'm not disrespecting humanity, but for some reason they listen to the media, they listen to, they say this, they say we're in dire straits money wise, so okay, we're in a recession now. They literally listen to what they're told and they react to it. And this is the time, and I think that we're coming into we're in the age of Aquarius as well. Everything's going to flow and everything's going to start sprouting through, and they won't be able to stop the truth, especially when these beautiful indigo children and crystal children grow up and become the leaders and in charge of the media stations. How wonderful is that time going to be? And then it'll be, well, this is the truth. Beautiful. Take it or leave it, not this is what you're telling me, this is what we're telling you it's going to be, and shutting down, the truth people. I call them the truth people. So it's a wonderful time to be here because we are experiencing the transition. I just wish I had another 60 years to go through it all again and watch it. Obviously, I'll be watching it from up there.
With the med beds, you might be able to.
Oh my God, I know. I keep asking about the med beds. And when I'm in Atlantis, I ask. And I also ask when I go up or I'm connecting with one of them, and it's just, wait. I'm like, okay. So I know if there's any, advancement or something's really going to kick in, they'll tell me. But at the moment, it's still being implemented because, again, the struggle is that when I was at Florida, that the thrill crystal is the sound that resonates, and that's the implementation that's going to, charge and source the med beds. And the problem with that is you've then got the scientists thinking, oh no, we can't have that because pharmaceutical companies are going to go broke and we're going to lose most of our income. We can't have that. So I feel that there's a kind of this going on at the moment. They're trying to get them out, but I feel that they're being blocked every way by the rich elite. And that's not being a conspiracy theorist. That's all I've been told. I don't, as I say, that I don't read the news. I don't read anything or get any of my information from other people. Some people say, oh, so-and-so said this about that subject. I said, that's absolutely fine, but I can't watch it because I need to stay pure to what my information is, So at the moment, it's still not right. And I don't know if it's because they're trying to stop them, wrangle with them, try and create their own med bed. I don't know what's happening with that. Because can you imagine if they are out now, it would be like, it's $10,000 to, or £10,000 or whatever denomination, wherever you are in the world, to just go on one of these. It will be the rich people that will be allowed to go on.
Yeah, it would create more division in the system. And
exactly. That's what they're trying to do, though, aren't they? Can you imagine the resentment that will be bred from the beautiful working class? That, the people that are working for a living and just working their butts off. And then literally it'll be, oh, yes, so I had cancer, I'm okay now because I've got $1 million in the bank. Oh, my goodness. It's just going to create furore. So potentially that might be what they're trying to do is, trying to incorporate it away from them. Again, that's another little battle that's going on. Of course, they're going to monetize on it. Anything that they feel that they can make money on and taxes on, they're going to, but obviously they don't want us to know about, say, the benefits of cannabis. I know when I was in Grenada, the Caribbean island, Grenada, I've been there a few times now, very lucky to have gone. My friend used to live there, so it's cheap for me to go over. And I love the culture there. That island is one of the most richest in holistic remedies I've ever seen. I still get the nutmeg spray and it costs a fortune, but I don't care. You can get it for like $4 when you're out there on a market stall, but it's like £25 here. So that's going to be like €30. And it's literally just purely camphor and nutmeg oil. And it's such an amazing muscle reliever and pain reliever. It's just magical. And there, you have to forgive me, hopefully a viewer might know this, right? One of the wonderful friends I have there, she takes us up and shows us all of the different fruits and the forest, a bit like the elixir plants in Atlantis. And they have these, I can't remember the name, but they're like a big sausage that hang off these trees. Okay. And if anybody gets cancer there, they don't go and get chemotherapy. They mush these sausages up. They're not sausages, but they're a fruit. They mush it up and they drink it. And that eradicates cancer.
wow.
But again, there's the ginger, the nutmeg, they have everything on that island. But, unless you've got just little import companies that, can get it out. The seaweed, they've got this most magical seaweed that they dry from the oceans. And, they say get in the ocean, heal, because of seaweed. And it is full of the most incredible ingredients for anti-inflammatory, for pain relief, for antioxidants. It is just gold growing in the ocean, in the Caribbean Sea. And again, it's like, no, we don't want people to know about that. Keep that in the tree hugging section. That's my call it? The tree hugging section. Oh no, we can't let them know about that. Put that in the tree huggers, put that in the back pages of a magazine, the 0898 psychic lines. Yeah, just make them look stupid. And I have to get on my soapbox a bit. It's a witch hunt even now. We have known the truth from, like, what is it, 750 BC. We have worshipped the sun, we've worshipped the elements, and it's all been changed into this, you worship the devil and worship God knows what. And we are the truth. We are the people that have lived the land. Look at the Native Americans, look at the Aborigines. They still live their truth, but they're colonized, they're put on their reservations, like, put them away. It's absolutely... And I don't know if you've watched, I'm watching Yellowstone at the moment, when I'd call it my time out, when I can just watch, and it's just absolutely wonderful. But it is complete depiction really of how the world is running itself at the moment. Yellowstone, I don't know if you've ever watched it or you have time to watch it. And it's involving Indian reservations and the cowboys in Montana and all the corporations that want to buy the land and how far they'll go to get that land. And I have a previous life in Arizona, and I was killed and raped by the white man who took our reservation. And my dad at the time is now one of my guides, Calm, and he showed me the past, and I ended up Googling it, and it's where I come from. He said, you're Sedona, you're Navajo. So I know exactly where I come from. So I have got a bit of that. And now I know why cowboy and Indian films always wanted the Indians to win. It's like, the bloody cowboys taking the land.
You're taking the sides.
So it's the truth is slowly emanating out there, and God bless the pandemic, because that threw us into a world of online. Everybody turned to online, and so that gives us our stage now to implement our truth and the word of the omnipresence, the source of the universe. So isn't that magical? So, they kept us all locked down, but they didn't realise that we use that to our benefit, because now people are turning all of the time into online watchers. It's not great, but at least we're reaching millions by doing that. And I just get such joy when I see 10,000, 20,000, and then 100,000 and 500,000, where I think I've reached 500,000 people just from talking my truth. And that makes my soul sing. It really, really does. And listen, if you can just get one person in a week that is awake and starts questioning their humanity, starts questioning their soul, starts questioning who they are and where they want to be, and they start opening up to that, our job is done, darling. It's another one in the light. And that's what we're aiming for here. That's the truth of the matter. And I just love it.
You just said it.
Yeah. That's what it is, isn't it?
You just said it. I mean, it's not the answer that opens the mind, but it's the question. So even by having these sorts of conversations that we're having right now, this is allowing people to drop into a state where they can be in curiosity rather than judgment, because you're going on the news and you're being fed, this information, and immediately the intention behind that news is to put you in judgment. But we're cultivating these types of conversations where the intention is not to put people in judgment, but to put them into further states of curiosity where they'll start asking their questions. So, maybe even something that we said or you said in this conversation opens their mind to start asking deeper questions. And another thing that I really wanted to talk to you about was, you mentioned Kuan Yin, and there's so many other feminine or female ascended masters out there, and one in particular that continues to resurface for me, and also I think in the collective, is a figure that we know as Mary Magdalene, which you come, and you've said that your mediumship comes from the lineage of Mary Magdalene, the Magdalenas. So I would love to open the space for you to just talk a little bit about her influence in your life, if you've gotten the chance to connect with her energy, and why she is deciding that now is the moment where her true story is needing to be revealed and told to humanity.
It's making me emotional. Sorry. The first time I connected with her, it was visceral. It was when I literally just been retired as a police officer. And it's in my book, Me, Myself and I, when I then go to a medium and she says, you need to work. And then she says, come to my circle. And in that very, very first circle where I actually intentionally sat, because, you know, people that don't know me, I come from generations of mediums. It was all around me. So it was no big, great shakes. You know, I knew I had it. I knew I could see things. My granddad told me after I saw my dad, who passed 2 days before. And so it was all kind of natural for me. But then the first time I actually physically sat with the intent of connecting with my source and connecting with my truth, my soul, and the very first person that came to me, and I didn't tell anybody, right? I told the circle most probably a couple of weeks later, but I thought, oh no, I can't do this because this is going to make me sound like I'm some, do you know what I mean? It's Mary Magdalene. And she didn't look like, you know how you see her in Catholic churches and her image. She wasn't as beautiful or euphoric as that. She had an older face, but I knew who she was. I knew I was home. I knew she was part of my lineage on the human level as well as my soul level. And she just smiled at me. And I remember sobbing my heart. I could not stop sobbing with the love and the calm and the beauty. It's on the same essence as angelic love, but it's more of a sacred feminine love. So as a feminine energy at the moment, connecting in with that feminine energy was beyond anything I could possibly imagine. It was like going home and laying on her lap and just crying my heart out and telling her of everything that wasn't right in the world and with me, and her just saying, it's okay. And so she emanates Jesus love, and we're talking about the consciousness of the Christ coming in. She's a massive part of that now. And I feel like her essence, especially on my spiritual tour of Spain that I was so lucky to do, and most of the churches are dedicated to Mary Magdalene. And the fact that I was a nun in her house in Rome in 1452 as well, just is absolutely wonderful. And I went back to that house in Rome, been there twice back now. And her essence is calm. Healing is not the word to even incorporate into it. Her energy is coming in with the Christ energy now. That's the first time I saw her, and I bathed in her energy, and it was the most peaceful, sublime experience I've ever had in my life. And when I was sitting in the churches aren't religion. Yes, people do all their religious stuff in there, but for me it is a house of faith. So I feel the energy of faith and connection, not the energy of man-made religion when I go in. And I stood in, there is the Mary Magdalene Plaza in Valencia, and I went in and I just held her feet. And I know it's only a statue, but it's not, it's like a crystal ball. It's like tarot cards. The energy that implements through a physical object is the intent to connect to source. And I stood, oh my goodness, sorry. And there was this most beautiful statue of her, and I just touched her feet, and I just stood there, and I just said, please just bring grace to everybody you can. Please bring love, and please bring your beauty to this planet. And all I heard was, I am already. And then I saw, and then I saw the Christ consciousness, and she made it look like she was blowing it like clouds over the whole of the planet. And it's just gently settling. Interestingly, later on, I did another meditation to try and connect back into that energy. And I said to her, what of the religious people? And she said, I still implement my love, and that frequency still going on. But part of their religion creates just that little barrier that stops them from embracing everything that I can bring. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And so potentially that's something they may learn when they go up, because one of the biggest problems that religious people have, and this isn't, again, there's no judgment at all, whatever makes you get through your day, I honor. However, lots of people, and it's a known fact when you speak with priests and you actually research this matter, that lots of people who have had possessions or have had this demonic energy enter their area is because most of them are God-fearing. Because the fear of the wrath of God and praying against the devil inadvertently creates an intent to attract the negative energies that roam around this planet. So, there's a bit of a...
What you call in darkness, yeah, what you put in darkness calls you to the darkness. That is one of our teachers, Paul Selig. He says, what you put in darkness calls you to the darkness.
There you go. So you're the one that has the knowledge of that. I just see it. And then you say, yep, that's backed up by whoever said it. But it's absolutely right. And so, they're trying to eradicate that, and they are giving us credit. And I'm sure I said this before as well, is that they're implementing this knowledge, this 5D knowledge, and implementing the afterlife to creditable people, doctors, scientists, who are starting to see it, And things like, for instance, if you took, I'm sure I said this as well, but I will repeat it because it does feel relevant. It's like the Schumann resonance. If we spoke about that in like year 2000 or in the 90s, people would go, tree hugger section, off your pot, what are you talking about? The pulse, there's a pulse of the planet. I don't think so, love. But now the scientists have measured it, and you can go over and see what scale it's resonating on. Everybody accepts it, So again, I know they're trying to implement that we are heard first, and people go, as you said, I'm curious about that. I need to look into that. And then if they start linking up and start doing it for themselves, they'll realise, wow, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely right. I'm not going to listen to media anymore. I'm not going to listen to science. But they're trying to incorporate it and be our friend, the little scientists. But as you say, they're going to try and label whatever we are bought from our beautiful galactic friends. And what I will say is that Mary Magdalene has always been the absolute pinnacle of feminine love, energy, sacrifice, and strength. And as she's part of my DNA system as well, if anybody could sit in her energy, I would totally recommend it. And again, it just starts from beginning, guided meditations, walking in nature, and just sending the intention, Mary Magdalene. I'd love for you to be in my presence to bring that benevolence to me. So the Christ consciousness includes her energy, bringing that sacred feminine, that sensitivity, that beautiful sense of being that lots of people have completely disregarded in their incarnation. So she is implemented hugely in the next coming years, without a doubt. Some people may misconstrue it as, Mary's visited me, I need to become a Catholic or a Christian, whatever floats your boat. But it's actually her dynamic energy coming in, swathed in the beauty of the Christ energy, which again I saw solidly in 2014, hence why I wrote Earthwalkers, because it's all about this. And it's just, for me, people, I get hundreds of emails every day of people panicking, saying, oh, this is happening, that's happening, I've just read this. For instance, do you remember our last time? Do you remember our last time when I said about the fact that people talk about the 7 days of darkness? What is that all about? It's just fear. Don't listen to the tree huggers. We're telling you, this is going to happen because you're listening to them and you're opening yourself up. And it's like, we're still here. And I did say to you, didn't I, our next interview, I bet we're still here. There was no darkness. So, I just encourage people to, we don't have to say, come, into the tree hugger section, but be inquisitive, be curious, start looking at, speakers like myself and my colleagues and all the lovely people I work with. Start listening and seeing if you can validate that within yourself. Be curious. Don't be judgmental. That's the other thing. And there's certain online media streams that you just get all of the, the 3D people that just send you hate and vitriol and just treat you like a jester in the court when you start talking about things. But they're the ones that are not going to be able to go to any other cosmic energy, are they? They're the ones that are going to have to come back down and then continually wait for their ascension. But as I say, the ones that are being moved to 5D, you've got to hang on in there. I actually did do symptoms of the ascension to 5D. I can't remember if it's gone out now on my channel, just to alleviate people's worries, because it does bring a lot of imbalance in your mental, emotional, physical and spiritual body that you've got to kind, get calibrate, if you like. So each implement that comes in, you're like, okay, I've got this, I need to balance that out. Okay, I'm ready. So people have got to be kind to themselves, they've got to be patient, they've got to make time to get in nature. They have to make time to say, I meditate, even if it's a 5-minute power up. I do that one as well on there, because people are so busy on my channel. Just anything to just get you connected to source, and verbally do it. I really need my angels here at the moment. No, thank you for being with me. Thank you for being with me. May I ask who's in my frequency at the moment? And again, people say, I really need to get well, I really need money, I really need a new job. Oh God, please bring it to me. That's not the energy. The energy is, I know you're here. I know that I'm in a space at the moment that isn't at balance. I know that I need to do this for the greater good of my family and my security. I thank you and ask you to bring this to me when the time is right, or the right people to implement it. Bang. You've got to be in this energy of trust, faith, knowledge, not hope, pray, beg. And once you know you have this invisible army with you to fight, to celebrate, to resonate, to guide, to comfort, everything in your life is so much more easier. And what you ask for, you will get. Look, I'm in a home by the beach. This is what I asked for. No stairs, because I was worried about mobility. Beautiful garden. I ordered it all. I did it. It wasn't luck.
You just got to order some sunshine to the UK a little bit.
You know what though? This is incredible, right? Because I do it with Ariel, and it's not that I can manipulate weather like they're doing at the moment, because obviously there has been weather warfare, which they've told me about, which is a whole new show if we want to talk about that another time. And I said to her, just
part 3.
Yeah, definitely a part 3, because there is the weather thing going on. Ariel told me about that. I think I've done a show on my channel about it, but we can definitely dive into that. That's why the solar flares to me are a bit because of obviously the weather stuff they're doing. But again, chemtrails, people going, oh, chemtrails, like 5-6 years ago, I'm like, whatever. Now I'm like, yeah, you're right. But anyway, so I said to her, can you just please, I said, obviously I know you can't change the weather. I think she can implement some of it. But I said, can you, and this is a way to do it, can you allow me to feel when it's right to go out? I need to connect with you. I would love to sit by the ocean, because it was raining. I said, can you just make me feel I'm going to go now? I said, that's all I ask, is just give me my space to connect with you and whoever needs to come in. And this was that one I was telling you about on the rock. And then I walked out and the sun just beamed out, and I sat there for an hour. And then I thought, oh, I'm getting a bit shivery. And I looked up and the clouds were coming. As soon as I got in the car, it absolutely rained down. And I'm like, thank you. So I was asking her when was the right time for me to connect with her out by the ocean. And she did it. And that happens all the time. I even did a very short TikTok video once about that, because I said, I can't do this now. When do you want me to go? Okay, I know it's going to rain in 10 minutes time. So you can work this to beauty. It's like so many people joke about the parking angels, don't they? And again, Ariel works with base chakra stuff that you need to sort out. So I just say, please, can you just implement a parking space? Because I'm not up to doing a lot of walking today because of pain or whatever. It's not as bad as it ever was, but sometimes I have days where I just think no. And literally a car will pull out, and this one of them one time pulled out, and it was A333. So it's like Angel 333 number, and pulled out. I've had 111 as well in the registration plate as it's pulled out to let me pull in. And I'm like, wow, because it's an angel number. It's just saying we've done that for you. And it seems silly little things, but you've got to remember that angel frequency is there for everybody. It isn't just one person dotting around. It is literally a frequency that you can reverberate with and create matter, create intent, create your future. You can do it. And as soon as people get this in their head, that they can get into a quantum field of acknowledgement and create their futures, the world's going to be a better place. So it's up to us to keep plugging away and letting them know the reality of that. And it scares the dark people, the rich elite, and all the controllers of the planet at the moment. It scares them because they know we're getting more powerful by the day because people are actually listening and they hate it. And so this is why there's all these threats, and this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and don't listen to the tree hugger section, and they're listening. And so it's beautiful and it's happening. And that's what I'm so excited about.
Yeah. And Nicky, toward the end of our last conversation, we opened up a segment where you took us to some of the sections where, when you've traveled out and seen the different layers of heaven, you took us to the cherubim chambers, and we'll link that for people to really go there and go deep into what is their function and everything. But I feel like you've also done so much work in understanding how to map out the different sections or things that go on the other side. There's one in particular that I think we could open up this last segment of the conversation to, of understanding. You've mentioned also here today is the halls of learning, which I'm really curious about, because that's like my favorite thing to do is learn. And I'm like, there's a hall of learning up there. Like, what is that about? So I'd really love to open up this segment for that.
Oh, absolutely. It is absolutely fantastic. And as you know, I can't describe to other people that want to learn and know about this, frequencies, sound, ethereal layers, celestial layers. So they create, as you say, mind maps. And I will draw the map out and put it in, I think, What Happens When We Die, which is my next non-fiction book, right? So basically, the Halls of Learning, they took me there first of all, and incredibly, I don't know if this is, I think it's because they know I can be, is this really imagination or is it me? Even now, I go, am I imagining this? And they go, oh, for goodness sake, give us something to back it up. So the first thing is I walked into a checkered floor hall, which goes along some sort of thing to do with the Freemasons, someone told me. I didn't really take much notice of it. So anyway, I'm in this hall. I said, where am I? And I think it was Julianus said to me, you're in, did I tell you about me going to see Metatron last time with the Akashic Records?
No. But tell us.
Mind blown. Again, this is all in my fiction book, but it's not fiction. So I find myself in this space, and Julianus and my granddad, who was the most incredible medium on the planet, is there. And I've been trying to get to this place for 6 months. 6 months. I kept finding myself with Khan from Sedona walking along this rock road with ocean either side, right? And I kept falling down. He goes, you're not ready yet. And I'm like, I think I am. He's like, no, you're not. And even when I was teaching students and I was going in to check where their souls were, he put me on this blinking path again. I'm like, oh, seriously? And I kept falling in. Anyway, long story short, 6 months later, my granddad greets me and goes, Nicola, can't stand calling me, Nicola, I can't believe it. You're here now. You're ready to come in. So I'm like, okay, not really knowing, what's going on. And so he says, come, walk in. So this is where the checkered floor is. And I'm mentally thinking, right, try and note as much as possible because, you need to back this up. Because if you're going to say to people, this is real, you need to back it up. And as I looked to the right, there were thousands of brass names. So I said, what are they? And they said, these are people that have knowingly affected change on the planet through the Akashic Records. I'm like, okay. So this is, American people are going to shoot me for this. So I thought, right, grab one. So I thought, right, well, who's that? And so I looked at the name, it said Harold Truman. Right, I had no clue who that was. Right. He was American president, wasn't he? I don't know if you know that. I didn't have a clue until I Googled it afterwards. So he was somebody that did something that implemented change for perhaps, their nation or for the planet. So I thought, right, clock that name. And then I walked up to this colossal statue, bronze statue, and it was the I said, what is this? And he said, it's the Adam and the Eve. And I said, okay. So I said, well,
Whoa.
what is this? Why are they here? And they said they are the first humans to ever have a soul put into them. They were the first humans that had a consciousness. So they weren't the first. He said it's your human title, so you can recognize who they are. But we didn't just evolve and our brains got more and more technical. And we suddenly realized there was a source. From the beginning of time, the first they obviously you had the Neanderthals, you had all of the, the people that we came from, like the Darwin theory, but they were the same as the animals that are livestock now. They were literally fight or flight, survive, procreate, eat, And so then what happened was when we got to a certain level of intelligence, the omnipresence decided that we should then have a soul connection, right, with humans. So humans would have a connection to source. So it was he calls it the Adam and the Eve, and they were the first ones to have a soul put into their body. So I was like, mind blown. So I'm like, okay. That's again in my book 2 of Earthwalkers. So I'm like, that's incredible. So he said, oh, that's nothing yet, Nicola. So that's my granddad. So
just wait.
I'm like,
just
wow,
wait.
Yeah. So I'm walking along again, and there's all these thousands of plaques, and I've gone past the Adam and the Eve. And then I looked to the right, and then this just wall opened up. When I said, what's that? And he goes, that's where the soul guides reside. And I said, can anybody come here? I said, of course. It just takes concentration. It just takes dedication. You'll get here. I went, okay. So he said, some are more enlightened than others, though. Some really can only get here if they're truly of a higher energy. I said, okay. So this is where the soul guide energies were. So I'm like, okay. Then I walked along, and then there was an opening to the left. I said, what's that? And he goes, these are the other guides that can come in and assist you. They are not aligned to your soul plan. And I'm like, what's a soul plan? I didn't even know what that was at the time. They're not aligned to your soul plan, but they will come in and implement guidance for you. They've volunteered because you've had a connection with them in a previous life, and they've volunteered to do this for you for this lifetime round. I went, okay, thank you very much. So there's all this guide energy. Then there was an ascended master's room, and there was words like Muhammad, to the Prophet Muhammad, Jesus Christ, all these kind of level of names, were there. And I'm like, wow, okay.
But were they there, or just like a record of them?
It was like, no, the door opened to this other chamber of whatever you want to call it, intelligence, sentience. And he basically said, and then I started having the names float, and I said, what's this? He said, Ascended Masters. These are the Ascended Masters who most probably incorporate a lot of the Christ consciousness, or we need to bring this consciousness in, we need to do that. And so they're like a level, I see it, like again, layman's terms, between guides and the angels. I feel that the Ascended Masters implement certain strategies for frequencies. They work with the angel realms, they work with the spirit guides to implement people on an individual basis. And I didn't go in there, though. I knew I wasn't supposed to go in there. It just emanated this gold light, and all I saw in my head was the name Muhammad, and I thought, that's got to be the prophet. And then I thought, actually, is it? Because I really didn't know the Muslim religion then. And so afterwards I did say, are they for the Muslims then? They said, only while they are in a man-made religion we create that imagery. And really going a bit deeper, because I try not to go too deep, it is just a pure essence of light that's just have different titles, human titles. It's really hard to explain, because say Mary Magdalene is pink, say Jesus is blue, say Muhammad is yellow, they just all infiltrate all together, but they create the imagery of what people will recognize when they're in meditation, so they know who they're seeing. So for instance, Michael...
Yeah, for the human mind to understand.
Yes. So for instance, when I see Michael, I never see his face. I just see a blue flowing robe, his feet, and a sword. And I just know that's him, because he creates that imagery so I can recognize him. Because most angels, when I feel them, it's just the most incredible love, and I think, I don't know who I'm with, so they'll show me pink, or they'll show me the ray that they work on, you see. So when you try and explain colour, ethereal layers and light, people go boom. So I try and keep it real and make it more man friendly or human friendly, you know. So I knew that was the essence of the Ascended Masters, and I thought, well, I'm not going there, because I just was being driven to these huge doors. And I opened the doors opened, lost, like massive doors. And there was a man doing this, writing. He was in purple robes, he had half moon glasses, and he looked a bit like Santa. But again, human imagery, because of course he doesn't look like that, because I've seen him in warrior mode, and he's like, wow, gladiator kind of energy, right? So he's writing in this huge book on this desk, and this was years ago, so this is like 2004, and I really I didn't know anything about spiritual philosophy at all, nothing at all. And so I'm writing and scribing in this book. He is writing and scribing this book, and he's looking up at me, and I'm walking along this big hall, and it's all marble and crystal, and like, you know, it's just really quite intimidating, like Dumbledore's office. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my goodness. So anyway, I finally get to this desk, and he looks at me like this. He goes, sit down. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm not going to lie to you, right? I thought when this happened, oh my God, I actually am working with the devil. I'm signing my soul away, because the book just turned around towards me. It was gold leaf on the outside, and it was full of entries in this weird symbology. I didn't know what it was. And he gave me the pen, and he said, you're now welcome to enter into the energy of this. And then these words come up, Akashic. Never heard of it in my life. Didn't know what I was doing. And I thought, oh my God, I'm signing my soul away. And then I really did panic. And then my granddad's like holding my shoulder, like, it's okay. And Julianus was behind me. And I'm like, well, this can't be, I can't be in evil, because I've like grown up in all this love and angels and spirit people. And then I looked into his eyes and I said, who are you? And he said, I'm Metatron. And I thought, made up name, that sounds like a transformer. I thought, that is not an angel name. I thought, oh my God, I'm just making all this up, right? Because I just didn't know. And so
Where's Megan Fox? Where's Megan Fox?
I'm like, I've really made a good name up there. So I'm like, okay. And he goes, I am the scribe of the omnipresence. I'm the scribe of God, as you will know that name. And I'm like, okay. He goes, now sign and you'll be welcome into our kingdom. I'm like, oh. So in the end, I thought, I looked into his eyes, they were azure blue, and they just shone into me, and I felt such love, and it reminded me of Mary Magdalene and everybody else. So I thought, you know what, I'm doing it. So but it was gold, but it, again, I didn't know what I was signing. I didn't know what name. It was all in this weird language. I had no clue. And then afterwards, I felt this sense of euphoria, and then the book closed. And he said, and you can now enjoy the benefits. And I thought, of what? What, do I get a free badge? Do I get a free, what do you mean benefits? So then I come out of the hall, of the thing, because I know that I've got to stand up and go. And I'm like, I don't know what I've done. And this book's shut, and it literally went boom. The whole energy went boom as the book shut. And I literally walked out of the door and thought, I don't know what I'm doing. And then my granddad's gone, come with me. And we walked along this space, went into a completely different frequency level. And I found myself in this garden, which I now know is a celestial garden. And he said, come to the pool. And at that point, they hadn't introduced me yet to the seraphims. There were no seraphim there. Which they're normally there because they use this to heal people's souls, right? Especially trauma passings or mass passings from disasters. And so he said, come here. And so he said, you have now got access to the Akashic Records. That is the book of life, the book of souls that you would know it as. He said, you can watch any time, any place, any soul that you wish to, down here or up here. He said, but don't abuse it, Nicola. And so he basically, this is in my book actually, when this happened. And so he swelled it and said, just think of someone. I thought of my best friend at the time, who I adored, who was part of my soul cluster, soul sister. And it showed us with a line across it, and that I wasn't going to be with her. And I thought, that isn't right. It came true. I looked into her soul and saw what was happening and the change. And incredibly, I've done it a few times now, and the second time I did it, they gave me access to what happens when we die. So that's how I could find out. I think we spoke about last time, didn't we? About how I found out where my uncle was and what happens as soon as we die. And so just now and then I dip into it, but to be quite honest, because I've now got the archangels and everything, I don't tend to do it. And so, you know, I came out of this meditation. It was most about 3 hours. It was just the most intense thing I've ever seen on felt. And I'm Googling Akashic. And then I'm like, wow, okay. And then Metatron is the Archangel, is known as a scribe of God, but also, you know, helps develop indigo children and all other stuff. And I'm like, I can't believe it exists. And then I Googled Harold Truman, and he was a president of the United States. And I'm like, this is just mind blowing. And then later on, I was then taken to, I said, look, can I go back in? And said, you can go back in whenever you want. Anybody can, of that vibration. And you can come in and see your guides. We won't show you your soul plan. We'll only show you what is relevant to help you or assist you. They don't expose too much, because what's the point? It's not worth incarnating. Because sometimes I do say, for God's sake, can you tell me this? And they're like, no, we can't do that. And so it's quite frustrating, because you feel like I'm on the edge of it. So I get quite worried about using it, because I don't feel I need to. I don't think there's anything I need to know yet that the archangels don't show me. But it literally is the library of every single soul. And when you try and think of that, it blows your mind. If you try and analyze that, you're going to lose the magic of it, because you're thinking, how is that possible? You know, we said in the 1970s, look how old I'm showing myself, you know, how is it possible to have a working, talking humanoid? They're there. How can you talk to a machine and then it, you know, sentient or intelligently replies back? It's just impossible. So, you know, we can't limit our belief systems, because energy is so infinite and so deep and so wondrous, and has so many billions of layers of sentience, acknowledgement, you know, learning, that we can't limit ourselves to it. And when a human mind tries to examine how a scribe can change things connected to the omnipresence, it's like you're starting to go into Harry Potter world. Do you know what I mean? So I trust it and I accept it, and then they will back it up with synchronicity, signs, and other philosophers will come in. So my friends, he was like you, beautiful Ian, and I was writing my book. And I ended up abandoning it, and then ended up writing it fully when I was poorly. And I said, have you heard of the Akashic Records? He goes, are you joking? So I said, no. He goes, the Akashic Records. He goes, have you signed those? So I said, yeah. I said, it was this funny, scrawly writing. He goes, oh my God, it was Aramaic, Nick. You signed in Aramaic. That's what people say. It's just known that it's Aramaic. It's the language of like Aramaic. I'm like, really? He said, yeah, it's normally in gold. And he goes, are you going to tell me that you saw the checkered floor? I went, yes, I did. He goes, yeah, they talk about that. And he goes, and now, no doubt, you're going to tell me who you met. I said, Metatron. He went, oh my good God. He goes, you don't even know, do you? He goes, I just cannot believe that someone like you gets all this knowledge. And I'm like, that's a bit rude. But then we spoke about it, and that's how it should be. You know, at the end of the day, I was a police officer for 20 years, and I feel that they've picked me not only because I come from lineage and the bloodline and it's part of my vocation, but I know that by giving me that grounded, creditable career, that I'm not in the tree hugger section. I am grounded. I will not share anything that I can't back up. I will never, ever change or lie about anything. They know that. I'm not, oh, hello, blah, 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 blah. You know, I am, and I think that's why suddenly everything has started growing again for me, because I say it as it is. And, you know, as I say, people branded me years ago when, you know, in my previous life, when I was really successful psychic medium, and they said, you keep it real, Nicky. I said, yes, I do, because if I try and implement any, you know, it's like the Celestine prophecies, that is a hard read. You know, so I want to, and it's a beautiful, perfect, on point bit of literacy, but I just want to put it in a situation that people will read it and not get lost by it. People go, oh, I get that now. That's how I'm trying to do it. So the What Happens When We Die book will be like that. And I will draw the map out just to give. And I said to them, they're so clever. They're so wonderful. Because I said, how are you doing this? I said, we create in your mind a map that humans will understand. And we implement that in everybody's consciousness. And again, it was backed up because I said to people when I used to, train mediums and have all these wonderful seminars and workshops, I used to say to them, right, I'm going to take you to the Crystal Palace. That's what they call it, the Crystal Palace. And so I said, and I'll let you go wherever you need to go. I'm not going to subliminally tell you anything. If you can't get there, don't worry. We can work towards getting there. But some of you will easily get into that frequency because I've been training you up for that. And they walk in and they say, oh, yeah, I turned right. And then there was a cherubim chamber. I'm like, I know, because that's where it is. You turn right. Because it's not a physical building. But the consciousness is they're teaching people the map of it. And I know if you take the door straight ahead, it opens up to this most wonderful tunnel of flowers and dragonflies and butterflies. And you can smell the essence of all the roses that are in this celestial garden. And I know if I go straight ahead, I come to the pool of life and the seraphim. And I know that I can say, may I connect with your frequency? Yes, you can. And then they tell me things. I know if I go left, I go to the Archangel chambers. I know if I go beyond the pool of life, I go to the reality layer where everybody in heaven is, the souls that are in heaven, creating their own reality. I know if I branch off right to that, that's the halls of learning. If I come back to the celestial garden, the first right is the eye chamber, which helps you to reflect on your soul and what you need to work on. And then next to that is the omnipresence chamber, which is the most insane, incredible thing I've ever experienced in my life, walking into that. So people say, oh, that the 3D or the naysayers, oh, you've spoken with God. No, not your God that sits on a throne with a beard, but I've stood in this energy of, again, I've put this in Earthwalkers, you walk in and the whole place is just full of light and crystals. The ceiling is clouds, then it's a rainforest, then it's lightning, then it's sunshine, then it's snow. And the backdrop are scenes from humanity, babies being born, war, dancing, kissing, children laughing, I think there's certain people that can get there and some that can't, because I think it could really blow your mind, because there are sounds, millions and millions of sounds of voices, weather, crying out, whatever. It's all different sounds of the earth, right? And then the back screen morphs out into a face, and the face starts speaking with you. And this is the omnipresence. And I'm like, whoa. And so to just calm your energy down as you're going to lose this connection. It's okay. And I'm absolutely terrified, but so excited at the same time. And it's like the audience with that omnipresence, it's not like you say, oh, tell us about that, and he answers it back. He just imparts what he needs to, or he knows what you're going to ask that he can answer. You can't get all the answers you want, because there's no point, because otherwise it's not worth coming down here. There's no ascension then, is there? Because we haven't learned. And so I did say, what face is this? And he said, it's a face that you understand, because you understand the element of the planet. You understand humankind. He said, but I can change it. And then it changed into Allah. And then it changed into Jesus Christ, the typical long hair. Do you know what I mean? Then it changed into just an archangel. He said, I can change my image as of Jeremiah, right, which is a person that reviews your soul, to bring you comfort so that I don't bring you fear. So he said, so perhaps other people that will come here would want to see me sitting on a throne looking like a learned gentleman. But for you, I know that nature and the element of humanity is what you're comfortable with. And I'm like, whoa. And it was just the most incredible experience.
I wonder what I'm going to see.
Seriously,
I don't
just
even know.
do it. Just,
I'll probably see all the Avengers. I'll see all the Avengers there. And
there I'll be Harry Potter, be Hagrid. There'll be like all of them.
Thor, what's up?
Thor will be there. But you know, and it's just wonderful. And he even showed me that the Greek gods were real and the elements of that. It's just endless what you can learn from him. But I say him, it, they, whatever you want to call the omnipresence. And one of the things that 444 represents is you're in the house of God, along with other messages for an angel number. And I came out of the meditation, I was like, oh my goodness, that was absolutely mind-blowing. And my TV turned on and it was on channel 444. And then as I walked out the door, it was 444. Didn't even plan it, it was 444. And then I got in the car.
Oh, it's 446 right now. It's 446.
Oh my, no!
Just
well, I was talking about 444.
We missed it.
I know, and I kept seeing 444. It was about 5 times in a day, and I'm like, I don't even know. And that's the magical of Google. And so I thought, I'm going to Google it, and it said you are now. And the first one, because it's all different, you know, this is what it means. But the first one that came up on Google was, you are now in the house of God. And I was like, and then that night, I'm sure I've written this in the book. That night, my what was it that turned on? I think it was my phone just turned on and started playing music at 444. So again, all of that, where my ego could have gone, did I just make that up? It was so backed up, stupidly, right? So I don't care what anybody says. To see it that amount of time and then to Google it and say, you're now in the house of God, I was like, mind-blowing. Oh, my computer turned itself on. That was it. Sorry, and it was playing angel music when I was living in the cemetery at Kingswear. And literally, it was 444. Could not believe it. Absolutely stunning. And, sorry, I'm remembering it now. And then, the following night, I was looking after my friend's dog. And he was a big Rottweiler, and he got up and was, wow, 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 wow. And I thought, oh my God. And then suddenly my two started barking. There was an energy in the landing. When I looked, it was 444. And then suddenly, as soon as I acknowledged it was 444 and said, thank you, the dogs just went back to sleep. How amazing is that? And that's how I rock, baby.
Wow, Nicky.
That's how my life goes. And that is how I keep going and going. You know, I've got my physical body that really does pull me back so much. But when I look from where I was, catatonic, in bed for 5 years in a wheelchair and incontinent, I'm like, I'm doing all right, thank you very much. And it's just that kind of thing that keeps me going. You know, you just literally go, what else can you pull off? It is just mind-blowing. And they know, they feel your soul, they hear it. And it's like, obviously, you know, loads of people know about my grief because my 2 dogs are so important. And like, you know, I was over there, they were called Teddy and Mia. And even on a little scale, they know. They just know, and they think, right, Rainbow Bridge energy is going to come in. So I just said, are you okay, my babies? Are you okay? And this was only a few days after Teddy had passed. I'd lost them both in 6 months. And we stopped, got out of the car to walk by this beach, and it had Casamia. And then round the corner was a shop called Teddy. Who calls a shop Teddy? And they were the names of my babies. And then as soon as we got on the beach, 2 dogs walked past. And my goodness, they were exact replica of my 2 dogs. So even on that level, they know how to keep you in this is the magic. Keep going because we've got your back. It's rough. You're going to get stuff happen. But at the end of the day, ride through it because we're with you, no matter what it is. And that's how I roll. And don't get me wrong, I do get days where I just think, I can't do this. I've had enough. We all do because we're human. I can't be the most, you know, all these people that remain enlightened and okay, yah, and kumbaya all the time are just, they're talking pants, because we do have human emotions. We have human and base chakra problems. The whole point is how we ride that storm. We can either get annihilated by it, curl up and just think, I can't do this anymore and get soaked. Or we go, do you know what? I'm going to face this storm. I'm going to keep going because I know I've got an invisible plethora of beauty and magic behind me that can get me there. You know, and that's how it works. And that is why I'm so passionate on trying to get people educated that they can all live this life down here so much more easier. And it doesn't take away any of your ascension knowledge, because you're still going to go through everything, but you're just going to go through it a bit easier. You know, and then you've got the thing that some people say, I can't do this, and they take their own life. Some, it is part of their soul plan, but a lot of them, it's like, you're just going to need to go down and do it again. That's okay. Your soul cluster can wait. It's not a problem, and so they have to wait for the generations to then come down and have a very similar situation take place again. Again, it's all dependent on your soul and what you've signed up for with your soul guides and with Metatron. Because, he showed me that when your soul cluster is ready to incarnate, and I've just done this, Juliana's just told me to tell people about this recently to remind them, you go into Metatron in his office, and this is, again, very bog standard the way I describe it. And he goes, okay, what do you want to do this time round? I want to learn this time round. I want to do this. I want to do, okay. Right, so your soul guide has got all your soul plan, and he'll make sure that you adhere to all of this. And if you don't, we'll shift you into the right direction to do it. Off you trot, you can go down in 10 years' time. And that's how it works. It's so simple. If when you take out the how and why, and I remember with Juliana's, I said, I did do a how and why. I went, hang on a minute, how can you write? He goes, he's not writing, he's showing you that, but everything is imprinted in energy, all of your residual energy of your soul, where it's been, what it's done. And I'm like, oh, and he goes, look, stop, Nicola. I went, okay. And he said, when you look at that box with the magic images, television he's talking about, I went, right. He goes, you accept that sound comes from it. You accept that images come from it. You accept that it just works. He goes, how does it work? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, exactly, you just trust it does. He said, how, if you actually think about it, how possibly can something invisible create imagery and sound for you to peruse, to look at? And I'm like, I don't know. He goes, exactly. So why waste your time trying to work out the dynamics of how we infuse you with our knowledge and light? Just trust. And that's what I've done ever since.
Trust it. Beautiful.
Trust. One of the TRs.
Nicky Alan, you are a living, walking, magical being full of light and wisdom. And this conversation has not disappointed at all. And people asked for it. They wanted to see us again. And I think we've only even scratched the surface. And I think we can continue for hours. So I have a great feeling that we are going to do a part 3. And we are going to continue just this friendship, this collaboration. Where would you send people to connect with your work? If you have, we'll link everything in the show notes.
Thank you.
Where would you send people if you have anything upcoming that you would like to share with us?
Not really.
Where would you send us?
It's all very, at the moment, to be honest with you, I'm working on Earthwalkers, which is basically what we've just covered. It's all implemented into the most wonderful fictional story. So I'm working very hard on that and the angel cards. There's not any major events. I am going to the GSIT conference in Denver in September, which I need to get all that put up on my website. But for all of my guided meditations, if you wish to download them, I've got a Prism online course, all that sort of thing is on my website, nickyalan.co.uk. All of my learnings, my teachings, and I throw a couple of little fun tarot readings in, but all my channeling and everything is on my YouTube channel. I find that the most purest. I've got the most wonderful tribe growing on there, and we're all very honourable. We support each other, and it's a wonderful community. I find I still are on all the other different channels, but I find that they can be very mixed in their following, whereas the tribe we're growing, oh my goodness, it is magical on my YouTube channel. So, and that I give you news and views on everything that's coming up anyway. So really it's the YouTube channel, my website, where you'll get everything. I also do free meditations and tutorials on my channel as well. So it's not just, the downloads that you have to buy. There's loads of free stuff there as well to help you.
Beautiful. And I feel like both of our tribes are now beginning to merge and meet each other and share and be in this energy of just awakening and love and curiosity. So I appreciate you so much. And you even told me you were a bit tired today. And I'm like, if that's a Nicky tired, I don't even want to know.
You are a witch, I'm telling you, because I'm not just for a reality check for people that don't understand invisible illnesses. I have ME and fibromyalgia. Well, that's what my human body's supposed to have. I try and misalign myself from it as much as I can. And I'm not going to lie, I woke up this morning, my eyes were so swollen. That's why I haven't been able to put mascara on. My eyes were so swollen. Oh my God, I look a bit bit orangey actually. That's my tan going weird from Spain. And I couldn't put any makeup on my eyes because they're so sore. And I woke up and I felt like death. I'm not going to lie. And I thought, I can't do this. And then you started infusing your energy into me. And then I sat with Gabriel and said, come on, please, just give me the energy to do this. And then he said to me, you will be enlightened and you'll be full of energy to actually get through this while you speak with Emilio. And then you were basically saying, and then I knew your energy was coming in, and then boom, it just happened. And so I feel completely, even though my eyes are really puffy, they're really puffy. But
it was like a big bang as soon as we got on the call.
Exactly. And that's how they do it. That's how they always do it, you know. And I was this close to saying, I cannot do this. I can't. And I said to them, come on now. Don't do this now. I've had such a wonderful time the last 4 days. Don't do this to me now. And suddenly, bang. So no doubt I will have to rest later and have a chill out. But at the moment, I feel like, because obviously I've had angel energy, and this is the other thing I want to say to people, is that when you start blending with them, no matter what you've got wrong with you, you know, for some reason they either cure you or they don't. Perhaps it's part of your learning. But every time I connect or with them, they boost me, and it's like an adrenaline boosting, feeling amazing and brilliant and positive. It's amazing for people with mental health issues because they just infuse so much energy into you. So even if you're laying in bed like I was and completely, I can't do this, just send a thought up, because they will bring you energy, clarity, light, focus. And so it just literally, as soon as I connected with your energy and we did that beautiful meditation, and I've got to say to everybody, this is just how amazing you are, is that my beautiful Mary passed, her rescue name, I changed it straight away, was Moony. And so I said to her, right, make your symbol, your synchronicity, moon. So the whole of the moon came on about 5 minutes after I said that to her. So she'd obviously acknowledge it and goes, okay, mummy. And then you then do the meditation. It's got moon in the title. I'm like, I love you, Emilio. I would want to have your 10,000 babies if I was your age.
I told you, I'm starting tomorrow, Genghis Khan style. We're gonna fill rainbow kids all over the world. Get on the waiting list, subscribe to the newsletter, do all.
Oh dear, magnificent! You're just an absolute darling. So thank you for
thank you so much,
and
Nick.
assisting in this beautiful connection we've had yet again.
Always, and I'm excited for next time.
So am I. I cannot wait. Thank you so much for having me here and allowing me to share our energy. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you.